So where do I start? Do I start with the weird gameplay by McCarthy? Do I start with Dak playing well below his standard? Do I start with the fact that wide receivers all night long could not separate to save their lives? Can I start with the fact that the Cowboys could not run the football for the majority of the night, which I did say wouldn't be the case because San Francisco's front is amazing? Could I start with the fact that the supposed best defense in the NFL, or at least one that was in the conversation for that, gave up 42 points to San Francisco? I can start with all those factors. And trust me, as a guy who picked Dallas to get to the Super Bowl, not a good evening for me, and certainly as a Dak Prescott fan. And let's talk about Dak because he's really been the story today. Dak Prescott had a rough night against San Francisco, 14-24, 153 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, QBR 46, which actually isn't terrible, but a passer rating that was not good at all, 51.6, and he was benched in the fourth quarter by the time the game got out of hand in favor of Cooper Rush for mop-up duty. So I'm sure what you guys are thinking. Oh, he's got nowhere to run now. He's got the Dak Prescott defender, man. He can't escape this one. There's no need to escape. It's actually time to do something that we don't do very often, and that's move a segment a couple of days ahead of time. It is time for this week's edition of Carving Up the Context. Here we go. So, regarding Dak Prescott, again, who had a bad, by any stretch, by any metric, anything you want to look at, whether it's a tape, whatever the case may be, did not play good football last night. But didn't I say coming into this game that he wasn't going to play well and that Dallas would not break 20? Didn't I say that, hey, basically any quarterback, even the best ones, take Mahomes and put him off to the side. Basically, all of them struggling against this Niners defense. And so when I saw today, all the national media killing Dak Prescott, getting all over him for his performance last night, much of it was deserved. Much of it was warranted, given his performance. But what we do on Carving Up Live here, with the Carving Up the Context segment, is we do just that. We provide context. And the context is something that I have been saying for literally years on Carving Up Live. And I'm like, screw it. Let's put together the data. So Dak has played ever since the San Francisco 49ers defense became a true powerhouse starting in 2019. That was when they got Fred Warner, and I think Richard Sherman was actually on that defense, but they had big-time playmakers. They drafted Nick Bosa that year, Defensive Rookie of the Year of that season. Kyle Shanahan had the Niners offense rolling. That was really when San Francisco kind of started this kind of run right now, right? If you look at how other quarterbacks, even good ones, have fared against San Francisco, hasn't been great. But let's look at Dak Prescott since this Niners defense became a true powerhouse. So he didn't play them in 2019. For the record, we took out 2020 because most of San Francisco starters were hurt. That 2020, let's just put that to the side. So 2019, 2021, 22, and this year. Dak Prescott's last 3 games, his numbers against the 49ers. 204 yards a game. He averages a touchdown passing per game, 2 picks per game, a QBR of 44, a passer rating of 60, and the offense only scoring 13 points a game. Needless to say, those numbers are well below average and quite pedestrian. But if you look at Dak, and we actually, I took a moment. I'm like, okay, let's look at other quarterbacks. Again, this is since 2019 because San Francisco's defense, that's when they became a powerhouse. And we put 2020 off to the side because most of San Francisco's defensive starters were hurt. Let's look at other good quarterbacks. Maybe you know these names. They're pretty good players. You ever heard of Aaron Rodgers? Ever heard of Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts? Jared Goff's having a big year, right? Was pretty good with LA. Geno Smith, he had kind of a resurgence? He has. Matthew Stafford, even the year he won the Super Bowl. A lot of really good quarterbacks in this mix. Tua, everybody loves Tua. I bought in on Tua this year. Let's look at those guys. I took 13 games from 2019. We got 3 games from Aaron Rodgers. We got 2 from Stafford. We got a game from Lamar Jackson, a game from Jalen Hurts, a game from Jared Goff, a game from Tua, a game even from the greatest quarterback who ever walked this earth, Mr. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Even he struggled against this Niners defense. So let's look at Dak relative to other starters, other either franchise quarterbacks or superstar quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's compare their numbers, shall we? Let's look at it. Let me remove this bar here. So again, Dak, you see his numbers there against the Niners in the last 3 games. 204 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, a QBR of 44, passer rating of 60, only averaging 13 points a game. The offense is headed by Dak. Other quarterbacks, the other hand, throw for less yards, 197. Throw for less touchdowns, 0.77 touchdowns per game among these quarterbacks that I mentioned. Now, they throw 0.92 interceptions per game, so that's obviously that's checking their box. Dak throws 2 a game. That's not great. QBR lower than Dak's, 36. Passer rating, now the passer rating, big gap there. Dak only has a 60 passer rating against the Niners. The quarterbacks there, you can see them: Rodgers, Stafford, Goff, Lamar, Cousins, Geno, Herbert, Tua, Brady, Hurts, have a passer rating combined against this Niners defense of 77. 13 points a game on both sides. So identical numbers. Some favor Dak, some favor the field. Again, the other quarterbacks I mentioned. Moral of the story: everybody not named Patrick Mahomes struggles against this 49ers defense. Now, you'll have the occasional game. Jarrett Stidham, Russell Wilson. Guys, Russell may or may not be better than Stidham, although Stidham may start over Russell pretty soon. Whatever the case may be. We've seen quarterbacks have the occasional, wow, they play pretty good. Drew Brees years ago had a great game against this 49ers defense. But by and large, all in all, even the elite of the elite, even the MVPs of the NFL, haven't played terribly well against this 49ers defense. Again, if we could put up that list one more time, if you look at this, you see Rodgers 3 times. One of those games that Aaron Rodgers that we looked at was his 4th MVP year. Stafford, one of those 2 matchups that we looked at, it came from the year the Rams won the Super Bowl. Lamar, the one game Lamar's played against the Niners. He's actually going to play him later this year, fun fact. That was when he won the MVP as well. Funny. Kirk Cousins, one of the better seasons of his career. He struggled. Tom Brady struggled. Everybody struggles against this 49ers defense. So this narrative that it's unique to Dak is crazy. It's lacking context. It's completely putting an agenda up front saying, we're going to take this and we're going to run with it. I mean, I heard somebody today, and I have great respect for this guy. First of all, he's a really good guy and a tremendous analyst on ESPN. Dan Orlovsky say that last night was the worst game of Dak Prescott's career. With all due respect, Dan, not even close. I would argue the game last year against San Francisco, the playoff game, was far worse for Dak. Some of the numbers might have been a little bit better through less picks, through a touchdown that game. QBR was a little bit better. Dak was awful in that play. And even as a Dak fan, I came out, you check the tape. I came out the very next day in the show. I said, that loss falls on Dak Prescott. There were receivers running open. CeeDee Lamb had a guy beat deep. He missed T.Y. Hilton on a throw. He missed CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup on 2 other throws. Guys were running open. Dak didn't make the throws. Last night, Dak takes a snap. Nick Bosa's in his lap a half second later. Or Eric Armstead. You had, what's his name? Fred Warner covering receivers, covering Brandon Cooks freaking 50 yards down the field. Nobody was open in Dallas. So it falls on everybody. It falls on the quarterback. It falls on the head coach. It falls on the defense. It falls on the skill position players. And some of it, too, falls the fact that San Francisco is just better than Dallas. I didn't think they were this much better than Dallas, but they're clearly, I think all of America would agree, except for Micah Parsons, evidently, they're better than Dallas. So this notion that Dak's the only quarterback who struggles against San Francisco, it's a false one because virtually all of them do, except for, of course, Patrick Mahomes, who, is by a pretty solid margin the best quarterback in the National Football League. I rest my case. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.